A place where the air is thin, meaning there's little air and it makes the heart race, demands more endurance from living beings simply to exist. At this extreme altitude, atmospheric pressure is much lower. This means that with each breath, you ingest about 40% fewer oxygen molecules than at sea level. The height of the challenge, where oxygen becomes luxury. When we talk about the Altiplano, we're talking about average altitudes of 3,800 meters, with many tourist areas reaching 4,500 meters or higher, such as some volcanoes and the Sala de Uyuni. A place of lagoons the color of blood, others the color of emerald. To put this in perspective, La Paz, the highest administrative capital in the world, is around 3,650 meters. Today we'll talk about the Andean Altiplano. Imagine trying to drink a super thick juice through a straw. You have to suck much harder to get the same amount of liquid. This is exactly what happens to your body. Your heart and lungs have to work much faster, accelerating your pulse and breathing, to capture the little oxygen available and distribute it to your brain and muscles. This reaction is known as altitude sickness, or popularly in the region, soroche. If you don't acclimate, your body can suffer a lot. Headache, your brain is screaming for oxygen. Nausea and nausea, your digestive system also slows down and becomes overloaded. Extreme fatigue, feeling tired when tying your shoes. This is all due to the altitude, but the landscape is simply incredible, another painting of nature. Survival, ancestral wisdom. How do the Andean populations, Quechua and Aymara, manage to live and even run in these conditions? Genetic adaptation. Over thousands of years, their bodies have developed unique genetic adaptations. For example, they have slightly larger hearts and blood circulation that allows them to use oxygen more efficiently. The magic tea, they use coca leaves, masked or in tea, as an ancient medicine. Coca is a mild stimulant that helps improve oxygenation and circulation, making it a great ally against altitude sickness. The Altiplano isn't just a landscape. It's a test of endurance where every breath is a small victory against nature. Do you have the desire and stamina to visit this place? Let me know in the comments. The Altiplano is a vast intermontane plateau between mountains, located in the heart of the Andes Mountains. It encompasses the territories of 4 main countries, forming an arc in the central western part of the continent. Bolivia, central and western. This is the country where the Altiplano reaches its largest extent and where the famous Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world, and the Sala de Uyuni are located. The cities of La Paz and El Alto are located on the edge of the Altiplano. Peru, south the southern region of Peru, including historic cities such as Puno, on the shores of Lake Titicaca, and the area near Cusco, is considered part of the Altiplano or Peruvian Puna. Chile, the northern portion of Chile, Antofagasta, Arica, and Parinacota regions, includes high-altitude national parks such as Lauca National Park and the area around San Pedro de Atacama, home to famous colorful lagoons like Laguna Verde. Argentina, northwest and northwestern Argentina, provinces of Salta, Jujuy, and Catamarca. The Altiplano, also known as the Puna de Atacama, features salt flats and impressive volcanoes. The Altiplano is the large high-altitude basin sandwiched between the 2 major Andean ranges, the western and eastern Cordilleras. It is a superplateau that rises dramatically above sea level, a veritable continental ceiling. The vibrant colors of the lagoons of the Altiplano, mainly Bolivia and Chile, are caused by a combination of super-resistant microorganisms and the region's volcanic geology. Life at high altitudes is extreme, but it's responsible for this palette. Laguna Colorada, blood red. Laguna Colorada, in Bolivia, is most famous for its hue, which ranges from rusty red to bright brown. The simple explanation. It's as if the lagoon were rusty and full of beetroot at the same time. Rust, mineral sediments. The water is extremely rich in minerals, especially iron oxide, which is what causes the red color in rust. Beetroot, algae and plankton. The most intense color comes from a type of algae and plankton that has adapted to living in this salty, icy water. To protect themselves from the intense solar radiation at high altitudes, these microorganisms produce red or pink pigments called carotenoids. The pink detail, the flamingos. It is in this red lagoon that huge flocks of flamingos, including the rare James's flamingo, feed. And here's the connection. The flamingo eats the algae and red plankton, and these red pigments, carotenoids, are absorbed, coloring its feathers pink. In other words, the lagoon is the same color that paints the flamingo. Laguna Verde, emerald green. Laguna Verde, in Bolivia/Chile, has a stunning color that truly resembles emerald. The simple explanation. The green color comes from a toxic mineral, but in the sunlight, it shines beautifully. Copper and arsenic. This lagoon is rich in sediments of copper, arsenic, and other heavy minerals, brought by the region's volcanic activity. When the wind, which is constant in the Altiplano, agitates the water, these minerals are suspended and, together with the reflection of intense light, produce the shimmering emerald green hue. The white of the salt flats. The landscape is complemented by the dazzling white of the salt flats, such as the Sala de Uyuni. The simple explanation. They are the remains of an ancient ocean that dried up. Thousands of years ago, the Altiplano was home to gigantic glacial lakes. Over time and with climate change, the water evaporated, but the minerals and salt, mainly sodium chloride and lithium, remain behind, forming this white hexagonal crust that stretches as far as the eye can see. The beauty of the Altiplano is this juxtaposition, the aridity of the desert, the high altitude, and suddenly, lakes that seem to have emerged from another planet, all colored by the minerals and microbial life that persists under extreme conditions. The origin of this entire landscape. The snow-capped mountains you see on the horizon are no ordinary mountains. They are volcanoes, the true architects of this region. The guardians of ice, volcanoes, and the energy of the earth. The Andean Altiplano is located in what geologists call the Pacific Ring of Fire. The Andes Mountains were formed, and continue to be formed, because the Nazca Plate is crushing the South American plate, lifting the crust and creating intense volcanic activity. The Ring of Fire in miniature. The border between Chile and Bolivia, in the Altiplano region, is one of the areas with the highest concentration of active and semi-active volcanoes. They are giants, over 5,800 meters high, often with eternal snow on their summits, despite being close to the driest desert in the world, the Atacama. Examples of volcanic monuments. Lecancabur, Bolivia/Chile, 5,920 m. It is the most iconic volcano in the Atacama region, with a nearly perfect conical shape. At the top of its crater lies one of the highest permanent lagoons in the world, a super-cold lake. The Inca people considered it sacred, Anapu. Cercabur, Bolivia/Chile, 5,971 m. Another giant that, along with its neighbors, Curiquinca, Escalante, marks the border. The legacy of volcanoes. Why is the Earth colorful? The Altiplano is not only beautiful because of volcanoes, it exists because of them. Volcanic influence explains everything we saw. The height. Volcanism is one of the forces that raised and maintained the plateau at this extreme altitude. Colors. Chemistry. Volcanoes provide the minerals, copper, iron, arsenic, sulfur, that dye the lagoons red, green, and white. If it weren't for these volcanic minerals, the lagoons would be blue or clear, as most are. Hidden heat. Geothermal energy. The magma beneath the surface isn't stagnant. The Earth's heat energy manifests itself in geysers, like the famous Sol de Mañana, Bolivia, where superheated water vapor gushes from the Earth, creating a field of bubbling mud and a sulfurous smell, like rotten eggs. Hot springs, like the Palques Hot Springs, where you can bathe in pools heated by the Earth's internal activity, even when the air temperature is below freezing. Everyday example of geothermal energy. Think of a pressure cooker on the stove. The Altiplano is as if the stove were on, tectonic activity and magma, and the pot, the Earth's crust, was holding this pressure. The steam escaping from the spout, the geysers and hot springs, is proof that the water inside is boiling, even if the outside is frozen. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the heights of South America. The Andean Altiplano is truly proof that nature has the most colorful imagination and the most resilient ingenuity there is.